Welcome to Narcissist Apocalypse, everyone. I am Brandon Chadwick, and today we are debriefing Vicky's story, and we will be doing key takeaways and the things that we want for Vicky going forward. And for those of you who have not listened to Vicky's story yet, here is a summary. So Vicky, her story is about growing up as the scapegoat in a family where love, protection, and opportunity were never equal. It was never equally distributed at all. Her mother controlled the family through psychological abuse, humiliation, physical aggression, and there was a lot of transactional love. Her father often appeared to be the calmer and safer parent, but when Vicky needed him to protect her, he repeatedly chose to not do anything, stay in silence, and then eventually, he took the side of the mom and even the brother. And meanwhile, her brother was protected from consequences and actually given opportunities that Vicky had really spent a lot of years working toward. And even with everything that Vicky had experienced, she remained loyal to her family. She accepted a major pay cut to work in the family business, worked long hours, covered for her parents while they traveled, and really started to continue to hope that she would eventually be taught how to take over this family business. And instead, she was just denied training, punished for receiving praise. She was physically attacked by her mother and then told by her father that he would never apologize for standing by and allowing that to happen. And when Vicky later created a really successful business on her own, her parents finally offered her this path forward to taking over the family business. But then the promises that were made to her did not last at all. The final break happened here after Vicky's brother was brought back into the business despite her clear boundaries stating that she did not want him there. And then during a confrontation, her brother threw an object at her. Her father threatened her with another object, and Vicky was fired and ordered to leave. And when Vicky walked away here, she finally had the realization that her father had chosen the family system over protecting her one final time. So Vicky here is now grieving the loss of her parents, her siblings, the family business, and the future that she believed she was building and wanted, and this family that she always wanted was finally done. So this is the summary of Vicky's story, and now we'll go into our key takeaways. So key takeaway number one is that Vicky was the scapegoat in the life of the scapegoat. And for Vicky, her story is one where the scapegoat cannot work their way out of the role that has been assigned to them by the family. And Vicky tried many different ways to create a better relationship with her family. She tried being loyal. She worked hard. She kept the peace. She stayed quiet about things that were hurting her. She supported her brother through addiction, but none of that changed the way that she was treated. And when people complimented Vicky, her mother found ways to punish or compete with her. When she asked for training at work, she was denied it. When she expressed concern about the business, she was accused of making everything about herself. So there was no perfect version of Vicky that would have made her family treat her fairly. She thought she was doing all the things that would make her proud and be treated the right way, but that was never going to happen. The family needed her to remain the problem because that role allowed everyone else to avoid looking at themselves. So if she stayed quiet, they could continue mistreating her. If she spoke up, they could point to her reaction and say, look how difficult this child is. So if you remember in the story, her brother was given a car, which was her dream car. This is why she stayed quiet, because if she reacted to that, she would be called selfish. She would be called all sorts of things. So the goalposts here were always going to move because the role that she was given was never based on what Vicky actually did. It was all based upon these perceptions that were created initially by her mother and then adopted by the rest of them. And then the next one on our list, the next key takeaway is a parent who does nothing is still making a choice. And that safer parent can also cause the deepest betrayal. And I know a lot of you out there are dealing with something like this as well right now. And Vicky's mother was the more obvious source of abuse in this family. She yelled, humiliated Vicky, played mind games, became physically abusive, and made her dislike for Vicky pretty clear early on. But her father seemed different. He was calmer, Vicky spent time with him at the family business when she was very young. He sometimes recognized that she was hurting. Like after the dream car incident, he followed her upstairs and asked whether she was okay. He knew that would have hurt her. So those moments helped Vicky hold on to this belief that her father saw what was happening and might eventually protect her. But with her dad, seeing the harm and refusing to stop the harm is a choice that he was making. And when Vicky's mother grabbed her by the throat and slammed her against the wall, her father was there. He did not intervene. When Vicky later told him that he owed her an apology for failing to protect her, he told her not to hold her breath because he would never apologize. So at that point, the dad here could no longer claim that he did not understand what Vicky needed from him. His inaction also taught the rest of the family something, which was it taught Vicky's mother that she could continue abusing her without consequences. It taught Vicky's brother that he could have aggressive behavior toward Vicky and it would be tolerated. And it taught Vicky that when the family was forced to choose, she would be left unprotected. And that is why the betrayal by the safer parent can hurt so deeply. The survivor, Vicky here, already understands that the really abusive parent is unsafe, the mom in this situation. And what keeps them connected to the family is the hope that the other parent will eventually step in. And Vicky carried that hope for most of her life. During the final confrontation at the family business, her father had one more opportunity to stand beside her. Instead, he threatened her, fired her, and told her to leave. So the person she had hoped would protect her became part of the danger, and she realized he always was part of the danger, which hurts even more. And the next thing on our list is transactional love teaches a child to earn basic care. And Vicky described both parents as transactional, but in different ways. With her mother, emotional connection depended on what Vicky provided. Her mother showed more warmth when Vicky agreed with her, defended her, or took her side. Vicky learned at that point that she had to perform loyalty to receive these moments of closeness. And her father's transactions were more financial. He gave money, paid expenses, or solved material problems rather than confronting or addressing issues that had happened. So when you're raised this way, an abuse victim here may believe that they have to be useful, agreeable, successful, or endlessly forgiving to deserve love. And for Vicky, she was very forgiving and all these things, understanding. When she came back to work, she accepted a huge pay cut. She worked long hours. She helped her parents travel by taking the responsibility off of them while taking care of the business while they're away. She continued proving that she was loyal and dependable, but somewhere inside that effort was the hope that her contribution would finally earn her a secure place within this family. But the problem here within this family is everything was transactional love, and that the transaction was never going to be complete. The child here is going to give more, but that promised love or protection or belonging never going to arrive. Another condition is just going to be added on top of that, or another sacrifice is going to be expected. So Vicky was valued for what she could provide while being denied the basic care she had really been trying to earn her whole entire life. And then the next big key takeaway is the reaction is often used to distract from what caused it. And we're going to go back to the dream car incident here because this is a great example. Vicky had dreamed about a specific car since she was a child. Her family knew the exact make, model, color, interior, all of the features that she wanted. They knew she was saving money just to purchase this car herself. Then Christmas comes, and they gave this exact car to her brother in front of everyone. And Vicky was someone in life that was doing all the right things to try to make her parents proud. And her brother, on the other hand, was doing the things that were not making her parents proud. But at the same time, they gave that car to her brother instead of her. And this put Vicky in an impossible position. If she became angry, her family could just accuse her of being jealous, selfish, spoiled, or materialistic. So this is where Vicky just kept everything to herself. Because if she did react, the family would focus on that reaction instead of really examining the whole situation that had just occurred, because the mom here knew what Vicky wanted and denied it and then rubbed it in her face by giving it to her brother instead. And in another incident that occurred when Vicky pointed out that her children had been excluded from her father's birthday gathering, her brother accused her of playing the victim. So her concern about her children was then replaced by a conversation about her character. And when she objected to her brother returning to the family business, she was accused of making it about money when it had nothing to do about money at all. So with all these examples, the focus repeatedly here is how Vicky is responding to things, how it's then coming back on her character. And survivors often spend many years trying to control every emotional reaction because they know that their reaction will be used against them. And it happened to Vicky throughout her whole entire life. And then the next thing on our list is outside accountability threatens a family built on silence or appearances. And in Vicky's family, problems were minimized, money was used to smooth things over, being abusive was excused, the person who was hurt was expected to move forward by letting it go, and this kept everything inside the family's control. And then there was the final incident where her brother threw an object at her. Vicky called the police. Vicky moved the incident outside from the private family system while doing that, and they couldn't throw money at this issue here to have this thing silenced or to pressure someone into accepting the version of events that they wanted. The police were now involved, and her father appeared more concerned that Vicky was going to the police than he was about the fact that his son had just thrown something at his daughter. And this was a great threat to the system. The greatest threat to the system was that Vicky would stop protecting the family. And afterward, Vicky's mother contacted Vicky's son and described Vicky as being unstable and erratic. Rather than addressing what had actually happened, she tried to discredit the person speaking out about these things. So here you have a family that's built around the illusion of what they want the outside world to see, and secrecy, and going outside that so other people would know becomes a giant betrayal. So the survivor here is accused of destroying the family in a way because they're finally speaking openly about what had been going on inside. And that's what was going on when Vicky went to the police. It started to go to an outside force, and that could be seen as a black mark on the family when the family wants to keep everything internalized so no one can see what's going on inside at all. So when Vicky went to the police, she became a huge, huge threat. And then the last big key takeaway when it comes to family systems like this is leaving means that you're mourning people who are still alive. So when Vicky left this family, it didn't really bring her relief at all. You know, this is a lifetime of love that she wanted. This was a lifetime of approval that she wanted, and a lifetime of protection that she wanted. She had this hope her whole entire life, and then that is gone. This will never be what she ever dreamed it would be. And you have to mourn that. You have to mourn the dream of that. You have to mourn the people that were involved, the people that you thought that they were. You know, she thought her dad was going to be someone who, it turns out he's not that person. And so you're mourning this whole entire family system, a whole entire life. And their life is still going on, and your life is still going on, but it's now disconnected, and you have to mourn and grieve all of that and take as much time as you want to do that, because it could affect you for the rest of your life. So that's a big key takeaway, that you're allowed to do this. So those were our key takeaways from Vicky's story. And now I want to go into what I want for Vicky going forward. And the thing I want for Vicky is just to rediscover the parts of herself that existed outside of her family rule. So Vicky spent much of her life being defined as this difficult child, the emotional child, the selfish child, or just the person causing problems. So these descriptions belong to the role that her family created for her. They were never fully her at all. And Vicky is a creative person, capable and an engaging person. And she built her own business from nothing. She developed strong relationships with customers. She created a family with a husband and children who see her, believe her, and stand by her. So I just want her to embrace all of those things. Her family tried to make her identity dependent on their approval. So now I want her life to be outside of that system where she doesn't need their approval and she doesn't need whatever they think their truth is. And I want her just to live her own truth and find herself outside of that family rule for the rest of her life. So those are the things that I want for Vicky going forward. And I want these things for you out there as well. And I hope that you resonated with a little bit of this episode, found a little bit of it educational, validating. And if you want to be a guest like Vicky was on our Survivor Story episodes, please do go to our website at narcissistapocalypse.com, click on our guest form, fill it out, and we'll go from there. We also have a support group at our website at narcissistapocalypse.com, and we have a newsletter at narcissistapocalypse.com where you get a free workbook for every new Survivor Story that we put out, all at narcissistapocalypse.com. And that is it for this week's debrief of Vicky's story. So for myself and Vicky, we hope you have a good night.